本日はご視聴いただきましてありがとうございます。
We'd like to thank you very
そ
much
れ
for
で
your
はお時間
participation
となり
today.
ましたので、これより
As it is
リップルの
time,
国際送金ネットワ
we'd
ー
like
ク
to start
ブ
the
ロックチェーンを活用した
Ripple
次世代送
leveraging
金基盤
blockchain
の
to
実
build
現
the
を
next
テーマに
generation
キー
global
ノートを
payments
行ってまいり
infrastructure
ます。
session. We'll have a
米国リッ
keynote
プル国際事業部門シニア
presentation
ディレクター
by
吉
Ms.
川優
Emi
様よりご
Yoshikawa,
声を頂戴いた
Senior
します。
Director
それ
Global
では早
Operations
速で
of
すが、吉
Ripple.
川様どうぞ
So
よろしくお願い
without
いた
further
しま
ado,
す。
we'd like to hand over the floor to you, Ms. Yoshikawa, please. Thank you very much.
ただいまご紹介に預かりましたリップル社の吉川恵美と申します。
My name is Emi Yoshikawa from Ripple. I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to participate.
本日のワークショップではリップル社が
At the workshop today, the International Transfer Network, Money Transfer Network, RippleNet is what I'd like to explain about.
では早速、
So
本日のアジェンダについてお
I'd like to
お話しいたします。
talk about the items on the agenda today. First, I'd like to give you an outline of Ripple and talk about what we're focusing on, the present status of international money transfer and issues, and using blockchain technology. How is RippleNet trying to solve the problem? That's the third point I'll be explaining. And lastly, another area of focus for us is Spring. It's a blockchain ecosystem supporting effort that we're making. So these are the things I'd like to talk about today. Let me talk about our company, Ripple, and give you an outline. The company was founded in 2012 in San Francisco. It's a blockchain technology developing company. We have the headquarters in San Francisco. We have bases in 10 cities around the world. SBI Holdings in Japan is a company with which we have a joint venture, SCI Ripple Asia, and we have over 450 employees, and over half are engineering and technology staff. We provide solutions for international money transfer leveraging a blockchain, and over 300 financial institutions are leveraging our technology. Last year, and Series C funding was done. 1 trillion yen was the evaluation. And as for the fund providers, we have Silicon Valley Venture Capital, such Google Ventures, Santander, Standard Chartered, and SBI Group. These include major financial institutions that leverage our technology. Ripple's vision is to realize the Internet of Value. That's what it boils down to. And what this means is that today, because of the Internet, information and data flows freely. And in the same way, using blockchain, money and value, we hope can flow freely throughout the world. And that is what we're trying to realize. As to why we are wedded to this concept of the money transfer and exchange of value, blockchain can be used for many purposes. But if you look deeply, the use case of blockchain in the end boils down to exchange of value. And the most important exchange of value issue has to be solved. Otherwise, these use cases cannot be resolved basically. So it's a basic and a large impact issue, and we decided to focus on this. Before I go into the details in Japan, what is awful confused, Ripple and the difference between cryptocurrency XRP. Let me talk about the differences. Ripple chain uses blockchain and is trying to provide to financial institutions money transfer systems. It's a B2B solution software company. Now, within the solution, XRP is used, which is a cryptocurrency. XRP is XRP ledger, a public blockchain dependent, independent cryptocurrency. It's an open blockchain, so as is the case with Bitcoin, anyone can use it. Other than Ripple, there are many companies that use XRP, and there are individuals that use this technology. So Ripple company is just one of the companies that use XRP. But the XRP, we want to penetrate throughout the world, and we hope it's successful. So open source project is something that we're deeply involved in, and we're supporting the ecosystem to support this. And from here on, I'd like to talk about the present status of international money transfer and issues. Recently, with the advancement of globalization, cross-border flow of people and business is becoming more active. The immigrant population is growing at 9% per annum. Presently, because of the coronavirus, movement of people has stopped. But once this settles down, it is expected that this will become active again. And in business, in the past, it was almost all big businesses that did transactions overseas, but worldwide, over 1/3 of small businesses now do business worldwide and cross-border. It's not only big companies, but on the individual level and a small business level, this is taken for granted that they do cross-border business. A small amount of money transfers overseas. Remittance is rapidly increasing annually. 600 billion yen is the amount annually. And this graph shows international remittance in the past 30 years. In the past 30 years, the amount has increased 13-fold. And as I mentioned before, individuals and small businesses are increasing their remittances, and that is reflected in these statistics. However, despite this, international remittances remain very inefficient. There are many challenges. One of the major issues is that of delay. Presently, if you want to remit overseas, on the average, it takes 3 to 5 days for settlement. And the cost is very high. That's another issue. From maybe those of you who have remitted from banks know the commission is about 5,000 yen, and there's a forex spread, which is an additional cost. And then low reliability and uncertainty. According to certain statistics, 6% of international remittances come back as errors, and the actual cost is intransparent. So you are unable to know in the end what amount reaches your destination in the end. So these issues are such that those people that are dependent, immigrant population that is dependent on remittances cause a lot of problems for them. If you want to send $200 by remitting, on the average, it takes about $14 in cost. That's 7% of cost. And then the international remittance cost annual total is about 30 billion yen per year. In 2015, UN summit, international remittance cost to be reduced to less than 3% by 2020. That was the goal which was upheld, but we're far from that at the moment. So the lower your income, relatively the burden is greater. So they are excluded, marginalized from finance. And that is the present status. Worldwide, international remittance cost is a major issue. In Japan, the cost is high, relatively among other countries. If you look at the bar graph on the right-hand side, if you remit via banks, Japan ranks second after South Africa in terms of the cost incurred. International remittances are done via banks, or you have exclusive entities that specialize in remittances. But if you can see from the left, if you go through banks, 14% is the cost. It's high to begin with. Presently, it's come down slightly to 11%, but the cost is still very high. So then why do these issues continue to exist? If you look at the present remittance system, this was created 40 to 50 years ago. It's very old and it's very inefficient. Very simply put, the international remittances go through correspondent banks, and SWIFT, the messaging system, is used to exchange information. That is the system. And if you take this slide, for example, in the U.S. Regional bank, if they want to send money to a regional bank in Japan, such banks do not have direct relationships, so there are multiple banks which intervene or which serve as intermediaries, and SWIFT messages are sent between all of them. The system is such that it's only one way, so it's like a bucket, passing water with buckets, and it's very time consuming, and each institution charges a commission, so overall the cost is very high. And it's a one-way process, so the sender is unable to know when the money arrived, and if there's an error, it's hard for them to know.
Using the blockchain mechanism, Ripple aims to resolve these issues by RippleNet. RippleNet addresses the sender bank and the receiving bank, connecting them, allowing them to have a single-step real-time transaction. In the past, it has taken several days for money transfer. Now it is done in mere seconds. And also the risk of a settlement is minimized. And since transaction is done real time, this ensures transparency for both banks. As for more detailed mechanism, I will explain later. But the assumptions for this mechanism, the platform concept, is what I would like to talk about next. Looking at the money transfer industry, there are hundreds and several thousand individual networks existing in the world. For example, in various countries, we have banks, and they have their own money transfer networks. We also have individual blockchain used for money transfer in Alipay and other mobile money transfer apps, PayPal. This is online money transfer wallets. These are all existing players in the industry. However, the issue is that they are self-complete. They are not connected with one another. They are closed networks. And within the individual network, money transfer can be done in a rather smooth way. However, money transfer to other networks is not possible. Therefore, interoperability does not exist. That is the biggest issue we see with regards to the current state of industry. Actually, before the emergence of the internet in the world of data network, the same issues existed. Before the penetration of the internet in the US, we had AOL and CompuServe. These are private businesses that had their own networks and to lock in users in their own networks. In case of Japan, we have Nifty Serve and PC Van. These are commercial parts called networks. Within each network, communication was done in a smooth manner. However, once you go outside of the network, it becomes impossible to send data. Even if you could, there was much friction. These are some issues that existed. And these are the same issues that we are currently seeing in the world of money transfer. However, with the Internet Protocol, or IP, emergence of IP has brought change. These different networks now use the standard language to communicate with one another. This enables us to use the networks regardless of what the other parties and their networks are being used. We can now send the information instantaneously. The exact same concept, we wondered whether that could be applied to the money transfer industry. That was our thinking. And what was created as a result was this: to have the money transfer network go through one single protocol to enable settlement with one another. This is called interledger. This is a protocol connecting different ledgers. This interledger protocol is called ILP for short. Ripple came up with the idea and started development, but today this is an open source technology. Anyone can use this protocol. Actually, worldwide with a consortium working group is making efforts in this area. Already close to 300 businesses have started development work towards standardization. Therefore, this is a very global development that we are seeing. With this, in the past, individual financial institutions, when they wanted to connect to overseas institutions, they had to use their own individual way. But today, using the API to standardize through RippleNet, we can have a common API to connect to banks overseas. I would like to go into more detail about this RippleNet. For example, from the US to the Philippines, money is to be sent. The financial institution in the US is going to use the RippleNet API and connect to the financial institution in the Philippines. Based on the common rules, they exchange money in real time. And looking at this in more detail, there are two components. One is the two-way messaging. As I said before, this uses a SWIFT in a bucket relay type of messaging that is different from one direction messaging. This is a real-time two-way messaging. A SWIFT in a way was exchange of letters that we used to do in the old days. This two-way messaging is more like using Line app to communicate with one another in real time. And using this messaging mechanism, the personal information and other relevant information regarding the money transfer is exchanged. This is then stored into subledger and centrally settled in real time. And the interledger concept is used here. Furthermore, in order to further optimize money transfer, on-demand liquidity or ODL is provided. This uses crypto assets. In the conventional way, the U.S. financial institution, if they want to send money to the Philippine institution, they would have to create an account with the Philippine financial institution beforehand. However, this was very inefficient and there were FX risks. Operational costs were also an issue. Therefore, we use XRP, which is a crypto asset, as a bridge currency. This eliminates the necessity to make advance payment. On-demand liquidity is enabled and the money transfer is confirmed real time. This is a completely new mechanism that we have introduced to this industry. This on-demand liquidity mechanism is already available in the US, Europe, Mexico, and other regions. We would like to further bring this to other markets, including Japan. So why then, within this mechanism, why we chose to use XRP among all the other crypto assets? That is because XRP has features that are appropriate and most fitting for money transfer. Among the crypto assets that currently exist, they have various features, but with regards to XRP, particularly, it possesses three features that are important for money transfer. One is the speed for settlement. Bitcoin usually takes 10 minutes, or in some cases it even takes 1 hour, but XRP is always completed in 3 seconds or so. And also, the transaction approval fees very low with regards to XRP. And the third point is scalability. It can process a huge number of transactions in a second. In addition to the three features, it uses very small energy. That's another characteristic. Mining used for Bitcoin does not exist for XRP. It uses its original consensus algorithm to approve transactions. Therefore, its energy consumption is very small compared to other crypto assets. So from sustainability perspective, XRP presents very important and attractive features. Currently, this RippleNet is used in 6 continents, over 45 countries. Over 300 customers have already adopted this solution. Santander, the Standard Charter, and other major institutions are included, and MoneyGram. a very traditional money transfer in this company, and other emerging players also use our technology. And this is an actual customer use case. SBI Remit is the largest remittance provider in Japan. Siam Bank in Thailand and TP Bank in Vietnam are the SBI Remit partners. Using RippleNet, workers from Thai and Vietnam working in Japan can remit money back to their home countries in a very speedy, low-cost way. All the financial institutions in Thailand and Vietnam are connected through the network, so remittances can be made to any of the banks in those countries. From a user's perspective, in the past, the remittances had to go through Japanese banks, but the user experience using the RippleNet has greatly improved. In the past, through a Japanese bank, the fees were 4,000, 5,000 yen, and it would also take 3 to 5 days for the money to be sent. However, with the use of RippleNet, the financial institutions using the RippleNet can transfer money almost in real time with 1/10 of a transfer fees. And this allows the users to make more frequent remittances, and actually the number of remittances is rising.
So these are the benefits that we're seeing. There are unique issues to Japan. Recently, Fair Trade Commission has looked at the domestic transfer system, the Zengin system, and CHAFIS, the non-competitive customs, which keeps the high level of cost for remittance. And domestic innovation is being impeded, according to the FTC, Fair Trade Commission. Because this is a centralized system, this has issues in terms of convenience and cost. And Ripple technology is very effective in this regard as well. A domestic remittance, it makes costs lower. Domestic and overseas remittance can be unified and conducted in an integrated way. The present system, we have the Zengin system in Japan, and overseas there's the SWIFT system. It was separate, but if you use money tap remittance using Ripple, this can be integrated. Money tap has been launched mainly by SBI, and Ripple technology is used as a core technology. It's not a system where there's data is centralized. It's completely distributed. Using money tap, there's a use case. There's PayPay and LINE Pay charge cooperation. Up until now, the pay type of application users wanted to charge to its bank account from wallet. Then the traditional infrastructure was used, but this was not visible to the user. For the pay businesses, it was very costly, and it was very time-consuming. So if you replace this with money tap, the cost can be drastically reduced, and with API integration, the connection burden can be removed and alleviated. So in this way, at Ripple, we have our own vision, which is the Internet of Value. Toward the realization, we collaborate with the financial institutions to take approaches. And there are efforts from another direction which we are taking, and that's the spring effort. RippleNet, as mentioned earlier, uses XRP, and it's an international remittance network for financial institutions. Ripple company takes XRP and Internet Ledger, uses this as a base, open source, and develops enterprise software and presents it to financial institutions. But the Internet of Value, to realize this, we need to involve various companies from various industries, and we used to look at diverse use cases. So many development entities, so that they can find open source useful, we have a Spring. And specifically, Spring is the open platform for money. And it's not only crypto assets, there's fiat currency and tokens. All assets that have value would be included, and various types of values can be exchanged freely. And we want to provide the development tool for this purpose. And specifically, Spring has portals for developers, and we have SDK tools and WebNet, testnet, the hosted services, and we have technology support and approaches to leverage all of this technology. At the Spring, there are several dozens of partner companies. I'd like to introduce two use cases, two partner companies. One is Coil, a company based in San Francisco. Web monetization use case is what they're working on. And this is a creator on the web, and the consumers are connected directly, and XRP is used for back payment. Pay as you read type of transaction takes place here. XRP has several 10,000, 1/10,000 of transactions are possible, so it's very appropriate for small amount of settlement. In the web industry, monetization, when you talked about monetization, it was for subscription or advertisement. The options were very limited. If you use micropayment, new possibilities can be developed. And the other use case is a company called Holte. This company builds game platforms, and the games that are used, you accumulate points, and XRP is used to calculate these points. And you can go across games for users. And this is the provider of content and consumers transaction becoming more smooth. At the Spring, the developer, so that they can make development money easily applied, we have used the Remittance Universal ID, which is Open Payments Coalition. When you designated the receiver, you had to have the company name and the account name and the account and the name, which had to be confirmed. You had to input all of this information. In the case of a credit card, you had a 16-digit number. In the case of crypto assets, you have a very long ID, the A number. The user $mark domain.com. If you use a standard address like this, people can read it easily, and it can be used for all networks, and that is what we've aimed to do. Pay ID is, you can call it an email address in the world of remittances. The email address is a standardized user@domain.com. You use a standard format, and it's easy for people to remember. And at the same time, in the world of remittances, regardless of which provider remittance provider you use, by using user.domain.com, it becomes more useful. With several partners, we're working to implement this. For those that are interested, payrd.org, please access this address. So specifically, what use cases are PayID used for? This is a very brief video which shows this. One large case of use case for PayID is peer-to-peer payments. You can do it as if you're sending email by using the address. You can easily make payments. PayID can also be used for e-commerce. And more recently, what is popular is subscription-type services, and the PayID can be used as a payment ID. And lastly, from the standpoint of ecosystem, let me talk about what we're working on in terms of another initiative. In 2018, University Blockchain Research Initiative, we call it UBRI for short, and we launched this initiative worldwide. Over 30 universities receive our support for blockchain research. In Japan, Tokyo University's Faculty of Economics, Kyoto University's Human Studies Department is receiving support from us in terms of blockchain research support. The academic sector and the industrial sector, we want to bridge the two, and we want to nurture future blockchain research and researchers. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much for your valuable talk, Ms. Yoshikawa. So with this, we conclude the presentation on Ripple leveraging blockchain to build the next generation global payment infrastructure. That was the keynote speech. 11:15 in Hall A, we'll have a panel discussion, blockchain beyond fintech, and Hall B, we'll have a panel discussion on potential of blockchain technology in the super information society. For those of you that have listened are listening on online, please select the appropriate URL to listen. For those of you in the hall, right after this, we'll have a Q&A session for this keynote speech. So please stay with us. Please wait a while. We begin the next part of the program. Thank you.